Liverpool was massive for them. If they're winning games as comfortably as they have today, with the amount of injuries that they've got, Josh Acheampong as well was fantastic coming in today, and this man as well.
Pedro Neto, who joins us now. Good to see you, Pedro. Peter was actually singing your praises at half-time, saying that you were the biggest threat for Chelsea, the most likely to cause problems, and you popped up with an assist and a goal in the second half. How do you sum up your own performance and the way the team played today?
No, I thought in the beginning of the game we start well. But after that, it was a little bit difficult for us. As you can see, they had opportunities. I think they were a little bit on top of the game. And as always, I like to step up on these kind of moments. And I always try to help the team as much as I can. And then in the second half, I knew that they couldn't come with the same energy that they had in the first half. I thought we were going to control more the game, and hopefully I could help the team.
How important was it just to keep that momentum going after finishing on such a high before the international break with that win over Liverpool?
No, it was really important, to be honest, because after the international break on the last month, we didn't start really well. We didn't win the 3 games that we had, and it was really important to start this way, to come with this difficult pitch here with this environment is very difficult. So we are really happy with that.
Can I just ask what the manager said at half-time? Obviously, it's difficult for him to be up there in the stand, but obviously he made 3 substitutions. Was there a big shift in the second half as well?
No, it's like you were saying. We needed to change some things. We need to be more aggressive. We need to be more aggressive on defensive ways as well, to keep more the ball. I think we didn't did that on the first half, and in the second half, as you can see, we keep more the ball. We scored 3 goals, and we are really happy with that.
Sorry, Pedro, you play on the right-hand side with your left foot coming in, but do you like being sometimes on that left-hand side where you can go on the outside and get crosses in with your natural foot?
Yeah, I will be honest. I feel comfortable to play both sides. If you ask me if I have a favorite one, of course I will not lie. I would say right side is the side that I prefer the most. But yeah, as I say, I like to play both sides and help the team. I already play as a striker as well, and if I have to play left back, right back, I will always.
I know. If I'm playing here, I'd much prefer you on the left-hand side. Oh, you know, with what a ball and a great header. You must be pleased for Josh as well.
Yeah, really pleased, because he's working a lot. He did a fantastic game against Liverpool, and today he did a fantastic game as well.
How big a talent do you think Josh is?
No, he can be a top talent. I think he has to continue to work. I always am in his foot, joking with him that he has to be more aggressive. And today he did a fantastic job, and I'm really happy for the goal.
You're such a young side, right? But how far can this team go? I mean, is this season too early to be talking about challenging for the title?
I will be honest with you. I like the way that we did last season. We go game by game, day by day, and that is the thing. We have to live in the present. We have to keep working hard to not to show to the people, but to show to ourselves what we can do.
And then you got on the score sheet yourself as well. Did you just see that gap?
No, I will be honest. Before the last game, if we had a free kick, me and Reece, we spoke about that. And in this match, he said to me, I asked him, do you go to the side of the keeper? And he told me, no, we go back to the same side. And as you can see, he gives a step to the right side, and here, yeah.
Just a little shift of the ball. And Jesus comes out of the wall, makes a gap, and you find the gap perfectly.
No, yeah, because we saw clips from teams as well already, and normally the goalkeeper always, when you give this kind of roll ball, he always gives a step to the right to try to watch the ball or to win a little bit of space to go to the same side. And Reece said to me, no, we put on the same side, because for sure the ball will go in, and we are really happy with that.
You've started every Premier League game, every Champions League game so far. It almost feels like you've made yourself unbenchable for Chelsea. What do you think has been key to your consistency in the team?
I think work hard every day. Like I said, I work every day to be the best I can, and I will continue to do that to help the team.
And when you came off, Estevao came on. I just want to ask you a little bit about him, because he's made a big impact already at such a young age. What have been your impressions of him since he signed for the club?
It's a really good kid. It's a kid that wants to learn, and you can see the happiness on his football. And I think it's very important for the team to have a guy like this as well, to like João Pedro as well. And we are really happy to have him on the team.
Pedro, thanks very much for coming out to join us. Congratulations on the win.
Great to see you.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pedro Neto there, goal goal and an assist in that win. And it is a win for Chelsea, a defeat for Nottingham Forest, which has led to the sacking of Ange Postecoglou. The club have already announced that the manager has been sacked. This is the statement. Nottingham Forest Football Club can confirm that after a series of disappointing results and performances, Ange Postecoglou has been relieved of his duties as head coach with immediate effect. The club will make no further comment at this time. Well, we know the owner isn't a man for patience, but that was a very quick reaction today. Peter, your response?
Yeah, I think the decision was made the minute he left his seat. I think it was the empty seat spoke volumes. I think myself and Gleen were discussing off air. It was pretty obvious that the decision was going to be made. The fact that it's been made quite so soon after the game, I thought he might have let the dust settle a couple of hours. But this chairman certainly doesn't mess about.
What was the point, Gleen, where you felt there was no way back?
Well, I think when he left the stadium, I don't know if he left the stadium, he might have gone into a box.
He went into
something.
his box, actually, didn't leave the stadium.
To leave his seat there after 60 minutes, it weren't like it was 85 minutes. I think that was a statement in itself, really, in many ways. But like Peter, I'm surprised he's done it so quickly after the game. Let the dust settle and let Ange sort of have a little bit more pride and going out. But this is football. Eight games, all right, they haven't gone very well, but after 8 matches, if you're a manager, that's no time at all. It really isn't. Even though results are not going great, if you bring somebody in that's going to be right for the club and you think he's right for the club, surely he's got to be given more time than that. I'm putting my manager's head on. But at the end of the day, with this owner, no, he's going to make his decisions and move on to the next one.
Do you think it's a ludicrous amount of time to be making a change, Peter, after 8 games in charge?
I think, yeah. I mean, you'd expect more. I mean, it's really difficult for Ange, but I do think the results were there, and I think the way the crowd were. There was a kind of almost a toxic atmosphere before the game. They've all left the stadium. I do think it was beginning to be a real problem. And I don't think results would have got better as quickly. It's probably the right decision, although it does seem incredibly unfair after just 8 games. But even when he was hired, I mean, his beliefs and his philosophy was so different to what Nottingham Forest had done so well in the previous season. I think everyone in football was a little bit surprised by the appointment being chalk and cheese. It was so different to Nuno, and they had great success under Nuno.
Given that, do you think he was almost doomed from the start?
No, not from the start. I mean, even today they should have been and could have easily been 2-0 up. With the chances, that's down to the players. Ange can't be blamed for that, the misfiring in front of goals. So they get a 2-2 draw out of this, or they win 2-1, he wouldn't have been sacked. It would have been a little bit of a footing to then a stepping stone to try and grow and get more confidence, get the crowd back on his side. They're the small things. They're the dividing line. So whoever comes in at this football club as manager knows he's got 8 games. He's going to be given 8 games, is he, to make a success of it? And that doesn't seem right to me. It really doesn't.
I do also think it's a great job. It's a side in Europe at the moment with fantastic players, and it's a great job for someone to get the teeth into.
For who? Who will be getting that job? Obviously, there's been all of those stories about Sean Dyche during the international break. There's obviously lots of reasons for that. He wouldn't need any compensation. He lives close by. He's got Ian and Steve Stone, club legends, alongside him. So you can see why those links are being made. But do you think he would be a suitable replacement? Yeah,
I do. I think it's whether or not he can get a long-term deal. I mean, I've worked with Sean Dyche, and I absolutely love working with him. And Ian and Steve Stone as well are absolute legends at the club. If the club needs a lift of any point, which it probably does at the moment, those 2 players coming in alone is going to lift the spirits of this place. Absolute legends of Nottingham Forest, and Sean Dyche has a proven track record of in the Premier League, and they're in a situation now where you're looking towards the bottom rather than the top. Who better to steer the ship than Sean Dyche?
They could end up in the bottom 3 this weekend. Would that be seen as a sort of firefighting appointment if that was made?
Well, I don't think Sean would look at that if he came. I think it's an obvious choice, the people that he's got and bringing with him to get the crowd back on the side straight away, instantly. Whoever comes in, the one criteria, they've got to get results, and they've got to get them quick. Now, that is pressure in itself. And if you don't get them quick, how long is the owner going to give them? Again, is it 8 games? So, you know, Sean would know, or whoever comes in would know, actually, we're up against it. Result-wise, we've got to get results. And, you know, if he goes 3 or 4 games without a win, how long does that one last again? So there's no continuity with what the owner's actually done. But it's within his own rights to do it, of course. It's his football club. But I'm thinking from a manager's point of view, it's impossible to... He hasn't had a pre-season. Amorim kept saying when he went into Man United, I need a pre-season, I need a pre-season. Well, he's had a pre-season and perhaps, you know, you haven't seen that much change. That's a different story. And he's still in his job.
Absolutely. And said in his press conference yesterday, where he was making a very passionate defence of himself, that talked about the way he's viewed, which prism he's viewed with, and said, I don't fit in, not here or anywhere. Do you think he is sort of judged differently, unfairly? Why do you think he said that?
No, I just think last season, I think there was a lot of frustration, certainly from Tottenham fans, about not being adaptable, not changing, and maybe not seeing certain things in games where it felt like it was crying out for them just to stop going forward, you know, and the high line was obviously something that was very well documented. I think that's just where the frustration was creeping in, was, you know, we were losing games, Spurs were losing games, and continued to play the same way. And I think, you know, he's come in here and kind of stuck to those beliefs, a very possession-based game, and all of Forest's success of last season. I don't want to keep harping on about last season, but was built on the counter-attack. I mean, he didn't play Hudson-Odoi today. Obviously, Elanga was sold, but that pace in those wide areas and the counter-attacking football was the reason they're successful. And obviously, there was none of that today. It was very central. It was very congested. You know, although they had chances, it was very much of Chelsea creating their own problems, really.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. You've just been celebrating with the travelling Chelsea supporters. But Reece, how good did that feel for you to score on your 200th Chelsea appearance today and get all 3 points too?
No, it was amazing. You know, always coming back after international break. You know, we've always found it tough. You know, last time on international break we had, you know, our form wasn't so good when we came back, so we knew we needed to, you know, make changes and start fast. And you know, coming here is a super tough place to come. And no, first half we created a few chances, but you know, it was 0-0, and you know, second half we came alive, and you know, we got the 3 points.
Josh, what a special moment for you. Your first senior goal for Chelsea. How did that feel?
No, it was quite a surreal experience. It's just a proud moment for me and my family, and I just want to thank God. So.
Reece, how proud are you of him, seeing him come through the Chelsea youth system?
Yeah, no, it's amazing to see. You know, he's finally, you know, playing more regular, and you know, he's showing the world, you know, how good he is and what he's capable of. And no, he's an amazing boy and an amazing player, and you know, long may it continue.
As 2 academy boys, what's it like for you having someone like Reece to look up to, who's now the captain of this club?
Yeah, it's that inspiration to know that you can come through the academy and play for Chelsea first team. So I'm also grateful for Reece and all the other academy players, as they give me lots of support, so it's good.
Much more to come from him?
Yeah, for sure. You know, he's still so young. You know, he's played a decent amount of games, but you know, he's so young. He has a super bright future, and you know, he'll kick on for sure.
You talked about the importance of getting this result today. How tough did you find it out there, particularly in that first half, as you mentioned, knowing that this Forest team were going to be fighting for absolutely everything today?
Yeah, of course. They made it tough for us. You know, it's always hard, you know, playing against a 5, you know, when they was maybe slightly more defensive. But, you know, as the game went on, you know, we kind of got into our rhythm a bit more and, you know, created more. And then we finally, you know, took the chances when they fell to us.
Well done today. Congratulations, both of you. And Reece, you're today's player of the match. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Gary, there was a lot of focus, wasn't there, of course, on Nottingham Forest and all the build-up we spent talking about Ange Postecoglou. But we should mention, you know, well done Chelsea, getting the job done into the top 4, because, you know, on their first half performance, 3-0 didn't look like it was on the bingo card, did it?
No, it didn't, certainly didn't. So credit to Chelsea, you know, for obviously getting the job done, like we said. These are the games that you need to win if you want to challenge up near the top. But Nottingham Forest made it very difficult for Chelsea, especially in the first half. You could say slightly fortunate, because at this level you have to take your chances. From Nottingham Forest's point of view, the game could have been dead and buried. There was numerous chances in that first half. They didn't take them, and this is the level you get punished. I think there was 2 goals in 3 minutes, and that's the game finished. So credit to Chelsea, they got the job done, 3 points in the pocket. You know, that's Forest is unfortunate.
Shay, you thought those Forest chances could come back to haunt them, and you were right.
Yeah.
Following a 3-0 defeat to Chelsea. Some of your reaction on social media here. This was after the game. He's gone. Our season starts on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Our Forest will be back. And Dale says, in all seriousness, this should have happened before the international break. Now a manager like Dyche has got to hit the ground running. And the club deserves as much criticism for this as Ange does. He was totally the wrong guy for the job. Dyche will stabilise, but will he take us up a level? Probably not. Do you see the point from Jay there that the club, the owner, have to take some responsibility, saying it was the wrong appointment in the first place? Is that an admission that it was a gamble and it didn't pay off?
Yeah, I think any manager's a gamble. You don't know. If you could look into your crystal ball, it would be an easy job.
But you can make a very calculated gamble, I guess.
I think he hasn't thought about the football side. What has got them such a good season, got them into Europe last year. Now he's looking at somebody that wants to play a bit more open, attractive, so-called attractive football, totally different. And now Sean Dyche might be a little bit more in the middle now. He's going back that way maybe. Or he might just say, look, I need somebody who's going to keep it to survive, and we're going to play that way, whatever way. But at the end of the day, I think somebody there made a really good point in the sense that you got the international break. Why now whoever comes in, if it's Sean Dyche or anyone, they've got a European game to prepare for.
A big one against Porto.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're right in the middle of it, and they've got to start winning matches. Points and winning matches are more important than performance or spells in games where we had them on the rack, we didn't take our chances. This club at the moment has got to get results.
Football's a mental game as well. I think if you go into Europe in that game with Ange Postecoglou in charge, I feel like it's breeding negativity around the place and through the players as well. If a new manager gets announced before that game, I think you go into it, it's a kind of party atmosphere. It's very much a new start, new beginning. I think the players will take to that. I think the crowd will take to it. And I do think it will put things in a different mindset and a more positive frame of mind.
Do you think those first two results in Europe, especially the Midtjylland one here, that was supposed to be such a special night for the club, Glenn, have played a big part? Because at least if there had been positive results there, you could say there's a possible trophy at stake here.
That's true, yeah. And it was a bit of a game that surprised us there at home. But also, I think the Swansea away, they were 2-0 up. They lost 3-2. The game against Sunderland here at home, where everyone's expecting them to win, they lost at home again. So it was something that was happening, that was going down. The other problem that Ange had is because Nuno did so well last year. They got European football, everything started, and then suddenly, for whatever it wasn't football reasons why Nuno was sacked or left the club, without a doubt. So Ange was going in on the back foot a little bit, whereas Sean Dyche, whoever comes in, is going to be like what Peter's just explained, spot on. There's a new energy. It's going to be like we've got our Forest back, blah, blah, blah. But, it's on a positive note instantly. And Ange never had that, really.
And do you think Sean Dyche, it should be him or certainly someone in that mould who is going to play that style of football with this squad who've been so used to playing that way under Nuno?
Yeah, I think we can see the odds on it now. I mean, he's a strong favourite, Sean Dyche. It all adds up. I think the club. He has an affinity with the club. He lives in the area. I know Sean Dyche personally, and this would be a huge honour for him to accept the challenge here. I think it's certainly something that he'd always had one eye on. Certainly Ian Moan and Steve Stone, who worked with him, would certainly have their eye on it. I think that the crowd will take to it because it's someone that they believe almost like one of their own, or a group of their own, if you like. So I certainly
a lot of bonus points early.
I think it's a lot of bonus points, and without doubt. And he's proven himself in the Premier League, and he's out of work, and everything seems to add up.
Yeah, Steven Gerrard in there as well. He obviously said it wasn't the right time for the Rangers job. Also Marco Silva. Now the owner had him at Olympiacos and is known to be a big fan of him, but he wouldn't be available to the end of the season, Glenn, and I presume that the club will not want to pay a big payout for someone given the rules that they have to work under with the UEFA competition.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't think that's something that would happen. I really don't. I think he's building something there at Fulham as well. So at the end of the day, I think I think it's the bookies have got it right. I think
heard
it's
Rafa
odds on.
Benitez as well last week, but he's not on those odds. What about him as an option?
Well, he seems to pop up at a lot of clubs, doesn't he? And not on the list. And
It's
I don't
not
see
a
my
list.
name on
It's
there
not
at
a list without Rafa on it.
Why
is
not,
it?
Glenn?
all. Mine's on the other
fancy it?
page, round the back.
What would you do, honestly, though, Glenn? What would you do? Like, you know, you're only going to get 8 games. I mean, what?
Exactly.
I mean, could you?
No,
it's a great job for someone.
It's a great job. I mean, this club has got the history, blah, blah, blah. It's fantastic. You watched the video before with all the goals going in and Trevor Francis scoring in the final. Yeah, it's the history of this club is wonderful. And last year, I think everyone outside of Nottingham Forest Football Club were happy to see them playing so well and getting back into Europe, and everything was hunky-dory. This place was an unbelievable atmosphere. This can happen in football, you know. It's the only business. You come here and the place was absolutely rocking in certain
Best season for 30 years, and then you go from that to this so
and now
quickly.
it's toxic at times. It was like get the manager out, you know, what they were singing in the last game, and it was it's the only business in the world that can work like that. It's so difficult nowadays in modern day management with a manager that's ended up with 8 matches. That's ridiculous.
Do you feel like whoever comes in are now going to be faced with a group of players who are sort of in that limbo land between 2 different styles of football now? I know it's only been 8 games, or do you think it will be quite quick to, as one article I read put it, reboot to sort of factory settings for Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, I think certainly if Sean Dyche comes in, you know, obviously everything that he's ever done is built on a really good defensive structure, which was exactly what they had last season. And I think they've still got the players to play in that kind of counter-attacking manner. Obviously, Hudson-Odoi for me today was the best player for Nottingham Forest when he came on. And I think if you get a tune back out of him, get players in the right positions in right areas, but still have that solid foundation. I think that's exactly what Sean Dyche would build if he came in.
Although the fans didn't like that when he came on, but that was probably more to do with Douglas Luiz going off. That didn't go down well either.
No, I think there was a lot of things that the crowd weren't happy about. But for me, you know, Hudson-Odoi has been what last year was one of their best players, and Harry hasn't had as many minutes as he should have. For me, like Peter says, he comes on and he looked like a player. Funny enough, he started at Chelsea, who could play in the opposing side. He could have played for Chelsea, and no one would have said he wouldn't have been out of sorts. And that's how good he was today when he came on. He affected the game in such a positive way. But no, I think whoever comes in here, they've got to have a clarity. They've got to hit the road running, and that means having a real clarity. We're going to play this way, and this is what we're going to do, because if not, if you get caught, like you said, in between 2 stools, you've got no chance. So if it is Sean Dyche, he'll come in with clarity. That's one thing.
And he's got a big job to get points and get points quickly, because Nottingham Forest 17th at the moment, just 1 point above the relegation zone. Are we already there in talking about them being in a relegation battle?
Well, yeah, it's 17th in the league.
But this early in the
played
season,
an extra game. You've got to say they're in the mix there. But I think there's 3 worse sides in the Premier League than Nottingham Forest. I genuinely think that. I think you get a bit of positivity around the football club. I think you'll see them certainly climb pretty well. Yeah, but yeah, it's not.
So Bournemouth away as well, a tough game. Manchester United in there as well, Peter.
But you said it today, like that is tough, right? You got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, potentially you can win against Sturm Graz and Leeds, but then again Liverpool, and then you know if it gets to the stage where that's 2 or 6 games there.
Good maths.
You know you've only got. Yeah, I got there.
Rachel Riley here.
And, you know if I plus 2 to that, that's 8. And then you are struggling if you haven't won. As we've proved.
To be honest, at this moment in time, at this football club, any game, any fixture is a tough game. There's a lack of confidence. And when you've got a lack of confidence, you're just looking for. If they've got a point here today, it would just give them a bit of a lift. They go into the training ground, they prepare for the next one. There's a little bit of a smile, a little bit of something in there. That's got to happen pretty quickly for this club and team to get the confidence back again. And as you said earlier, you've got to hit the road running. And maybe if he was thinking and tinkering on making a change, should have been having this international break to come in, really. Looking in hindsight, it's easy. But if he was thinking, well, I'm going to give him 1 more game well, if he'd have won today, would he have gone like, well, how many games do I give him? So it would have been a more sensible, professional thing to do it with international. And the manager's then got time to work with his players.
I do agree with that message that came in as well. Like obviously the chairman, was it right to hire Ange Postecoglou in the first place with the contrasting styles? I do think there's an element of that, but what's done is done. But I do think he's acted pretty swiftly, really, in getting. I don't think it was going to get better quickly, which is obviously a problem.
And we hear that the players left the dressing room as well and were being taken to the boardroom, I presume, for a meeting to be told the news. What do you think the reaction will be from the players? Do you think they, like everyone else, probably expected this after a defeat today?
Yeah, unfortunately, players talk in the dressing room as well, as much as the fans will be as well. You've got to be professional, you've got to do your job, but the amount managers come and go now, I don't think it will faze them too much. They'll just be excited about the next chapter, I think.
Yeah, they get their head down, professional. They're paid to play, not to manage. Whoever's the manager has to be clear on how he wants them to play. But players are not too worried. If we're brutally honest, they're there to play, as we say. They represent the club and themselves. But next one comes in, what we're going to go for next, and they'll be focused.
You just do as you're told, don't you?
We do. Yes.
I wish you did for me. We're going to get more from the tunnel right now because Jules Breach is there for us.
Yeah, Lindsay, just listening to you guys talk about this big news, I mean, despite the fact that there was so much noise around this potentially happening before the match, I still think the timing and the way this has happened has surprised everyone, certainly down here in the tunnel and obviously here in the interview room as well. I was actually interviewing Morgan Gibbs-White about the match when the news dropped. So as soon as the interview finished, that's when we found out that Ange Postecoglou had been sacked as a Nottingham Forest manager. Now, in that interview, Morgan Gibbs-White said that Ange Postecoglou addressed the players in the dressing room and just talked about how frustrating it was that he can see improvements, the team can see improvements and progression, but they just weren't putting the ball in the back of the net and were conceding sloppy goals. Morgan Gibbs-White's opinion was that he still had full faith and the team had full faith that Ange Postecoglou could turn things around. So in terms of what the players might be feeling, I imagine that they might be quite surprised that this news has happened. Just after that interview, Gibbs-White was taken back into the home dressing room with the other players. And soon after that, they were all taken up to the boardroom, as you mentioned, Lindsay, where I imagine there'll be quite a long meeting happening now. Just so you know as well, from what we saw down here in the tunnel prior to that interview happening, Ange Postecoglou went into the home dressing room, spoke to the players, but then actually went down the other side of the tunnel area and we saw him come out of there, and Edu was also in the corridor at that time, and Ange Postecoglou left with a bag on his back and went out towards the car park. Now, at that point, it seemed as though the writing was on the wall, but it wasn't until a few minutes later that that news was confirmed. So the players, as far as I'm still aware, still in the boardroom now, having that meeting. And Ange Postecoglou's backroom staff, including Jedinak, who we've just seen just outside, are actually still here. As far as we are aware, Ange Postecoglou has already left the stadium, or he's certainly not in the tunnel area. So that's the latest I can bring you from the tunnel, Lindsay.
Thank you very much, Jules. Interesting that the players still, certainly Morgan Gibbs-White, saying that he still felt Ange Postecoglou could turn this around. There was positivity from them, but Ange leaving the stadium with his bag today before we heard that announcement. Do you think he knew already? He said, didn't he, that he knew months before that he was leaving Tottenham, he was going to be sacked before he was. Do you think he knew if he didn't win today that was the final chance?
Yeah, that was the talk at 9 a.m. this morning, the talk all around the place. I think as soon as you hear whisperings about the owner speaking to other managers, which I think has kind of come out a little bit today, the writing is on the wall. It's never a nice thing. I think, as players, of course, Morgan Gibbs, right before he knew the situation, has come out and defended his manager. You have to do that. You have to be professional. But unfortunately, the performances haven't been good enough since Ange has been here. And I always found myself when a manager had been sacked, you have to look at yourself first and think, have I done enough here? Can I look myself in the mirror and think, I've given everything for this manager? And I think you know, of course I'm always on the players' side, but it just, for whatever reason, the situation hasn't worked with Ange here, and I think it was probably the right decision for him to part ways.
I'm glad to hear you took time for self-reflection.
Always. I love looking in the mirror anyway, to be honest, but I just did it more when the manager left.
Gleen, do you feel empathy for Ange Postecoglou?
Yes, without a doubt. You know, I've been in that situation. Anyone who has managed, you know, has gone through that. Most people anyway. So, yeah, and it's so quick and so public. You know, just straight after a game is a difficult one. It really is. Maybe in the end it might be better for him to move on as quick as that, you know, but I think probably behind the scenes would have been better and, you know, tomorrow.
Well, we're going to hear from Enzo Maresca now. A big win for his side today, beating Forest 3-0. He's with Jules.
Enzo, as you come into the dressing room to talk to us, we've just heard the news that Ange Postecoglou has been sacked as the Nottingham Forest manager. I just wanted to start with your reaction to that.
I feel really sorry. It's always a shame. But we said many times that unfortunately it's a business where you need to win games. Otherwise, for all of us, is the same consequence.
Or what did you make of the way they performed against your Chelsea side today?
I think they were first half very good. They tried to play their game. We struggled a little bit first half. Second half, I think we were much better. And at the end, we scored 3 goals. We could score probably a few more, and we deserved to win the game.
It was a much improved second half performance from your side. What do you think that was down to? What was the biggest difference?
Well, first of all, yeah, I think second half we were better also because we expect them to be more aggressive in the first half. Then we changed something tactically. And again, overall, I think we deserve to win the game.
A deserved win today for Chelsea. Gleen, it sets them up very nicely for that Ajax game as well on Wednesday.
Yes, it certainly does, yeah. I mean, they've had a few players out as well, key players, but they've managed to overcome an away game. They haven't been too good away from home this season, but there was glimpses, particularly second half. They just grew in the game and they got the confidence with the goal. Once the goal went in, it was a different Chelsea. And looking at that team, it felt to me it needed them to get their noses ahead to actually feel comfortable in this game. They were never comfortable in the first half, but I think the substitutes really played a big part and calmed them down in that second half. And when they did get the 1-0 up, they knew that the crowd were going to turn a little bit. The apprehension turned in here, and they went on and they got stronger and stronger.
Do you think they're just quietly going about their business, not being discussed in that conversation with Liverpool and Arsenal, but are certainly right there and have the quality, even though they are so young? Yeah,
without doubt. I mean, they've built something at Chelsea. I think, you know, they've got some fantastic young players. If you look, you know, they ripped the whole midfield out of the team, really. Defensively, they had injuries again today, and Cole Palmer's such an influence for them. So if they continue to win games, you know, as easy as that was away from home in the Premier League today, with the amount of injuries they've had, they're certainly in with a shot.
Well, guys, we're almost out of time, but look at this for a football offering on TNT Sports. We've got loads coming up for you. What a week in the Champions